let us all do we can to build a better future.
Impeachment, 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 impeachment. The aftermath.
Enough.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, we're going to talk about the aftermath of the impeachment. Yeah, it's finally here. We're going to talk about it. Now, we here at Heartlands Media, we decided not to cover the ridiculous amount of time wasted on the impeachment. If you want to see full coverage of that, just watch corporate media or TYT, you know. But we're going to talk about the aftermath of the impeachment. Now, I've talked about this over the weekend. It was one big waste of time. It was a waste of energy, waste of resources. And guess what? On President's Day, our Congress is going to be taking a wonderful vacation, a well-deserved break, all the while we're still waiting for our $2,000 stimulus check. Shout out to Case Study QB who uploaded this content on his Twitter account. Be sure to follow him. FaZe, let's play this first video because, again, you know, it's just ridiculous seeing how corporate media is still trying to talk about the impeachment trial as though it was supposed to mean something, when in fact, in reality, I think we all know the truth. This impeachment trial was one big joke.
Suzanne, how are Democrats processing Donald Trump's acquittal? And in hindsight, would they have done anything differently?
We're hearing from House managers, and they say that they are proud. They feel like they made a strong case. Delegate Stacey Plaskett, as well as Jamie Raskin, the head of the team, saying, look, they might have not won the Republicans needed to convict, but they won, they believe, in the court of public opinion, in the court of history. They're even pointing to Senate Minority Leader comments from Mike McConnell, who said that the president was physically as well as morally, practically responsible for this riot that occurred at the U.S. Capitol, that it was a disgraceful dereliction of duty. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi saying that she thought the comments were disingenuous and an excuse that this whole process was unconstitutional. But nevertheless, they believe that they made a very strong case, have covered 3 presidential impeachment trials, Anna, and this one was very different in tone and tenor. It made history in the number of Republicans that were willing to cross the aisle and say that this president was guilty. There is some hand-wringing among progressives and some questions among progressives whether or not they could have used witnesses to better bolster their case. There was a last-minute kind of pivot, if you will, when Raskin introduced the possibility of calling for Republican Congresswoman Jamie Herrera Butler to explain the story, the conversation she heard between Republican leader Mike McCarthy and the president, when the president siding with the rioters as this violence was happening. Ultimately, they decided behind closed doors that they were not going to do that, and therefore they made the proper decision, that they made their case.
Just so the American public is aware, witnesses in a Senate hearing do not come and stand before the senators and make any statements. It's a deposition, it's videotaped, and that is brought before the Senate. So I know that people are feeling a lot of angst and believe that maybe if we had this, the senators would have done what we wanted. But listen, we didn't need more witnesses. We needed more senators with spines.
Okay. All right, here. Look, I'm just going to quote Miguel H. in the live stream chat as well. I want Joe to pay up. I think we all want the Democrats right now to pay up that $2,000 stimulus check that we desperately need, but it's still probably going to be held back by Democratic senators. It's not the fact that, you know, we needed senators to have more spines. This whole entire thing was a foregone conclusion. It was destined for failure. This entire impeachment was destined for failure, just like the first one. I think the only one, hey, controversial statement, and we're going to probably get a lot of crap for this, but probably from the only caveat I could take away from the first impeachment trial was the fact the only person who saw through the BS was Tulsi Gabbard. I know, everyone on corporate media, the vote blue no matter who, doesn't like Tulsi Gabbard, but I mean, think about it. What was fundamentally done here? We didn't see anything change, and yeah, there are some people saying that Republicans crossed the aisle to, you know, hold Trump accountable, but you needed 67 votes. You weren't going to get that from the GOP. Everyone was screaming for the Democrats to do impeachment, right? And yeah, the House did it, but the jury is the Senate. And if you don't have the Senate, you wasted people's time. So you could bring up witnesses, but I don't think that's going to impact Turtle Boy Mitch McConnell's heart, because that's not going to happen. You're living in a fantasy world. Let's pull up this other video now, because there's always consequences and repercussions of this impeachment, because now that impeachment is over, what happens next? Let's play that video.
I want you to do a post-impeachment sort of trial assessment. How did it impact the Senate? How did it impact the Republican Party specifically? And sort of big picture, how are things different today than they might have been a day or two ago?
Well, look, this was an emotionally exhausting week for everyone involved, including these senators, and the trial exposed divisions both just between the two parties and within them. I mean, on the Democratic side, there were divisions about how far to go in pursuing accountability of former President Trump, the calling of witnesses, how aggressively to approach the trial. On the Republican side, though, the divisions are much more acute about who they want to be in a post-Trump era. Democrats can go back to governing. They own Washington now. They own the House, the Senate, the White House, and as Anna just said, they have this ambitious agenda that they need President Biden to push through.
We're still
But
waiting for our
side,
stimmies.
There's very much now this divide between folks like the 7 Republicans who voted for conviction and Mitch McConnell, who didn't, but sure sounded like he would have had the constitutional elements been different, and very outspoken Republicans like Lindsey Graham and Ron Johnson, who's up for re-election in 2 years, who are saying that Donald Trump still needs to be a major part of the Republican Party going forward. Look, they're on recess this week. Everyone's gone home to their states and their districts.
Oh, they're on recess.
When they come back here in a week, we will see a little bit, perhaps, of data to tell us which direction things are going. How do Republicans feel about joining Biden as on working on certain pieces of these agenda items? And we'll learn a lot more at that time. But for the Republicans, this, identity crisis is going to continue for quite a while.
Okay, so here's the real thing. The Republicans don't have the Republican establishment does not have an identity crisis, just like the Democratic establishment. They're all one and the same. They're all friends with each other, and they're taking a well-deserved break. Here, let's have democracy in the live stream chat. Type 1 if you think our Congress deserves a vacation. Type 2 if you want them to get right back to work so we can actually get our continuous stimulus checks that we deserve. Tell them that we need them to get back to work so people aren't being evicted. If you check outside right now, there's a lot of people at risk of being exposed to the elements. All right, there's still people being evicted from their homes. There's still people losing their jobs. People are still waiting for that $2,000 stimulus check. Last I checked from that Georgia election, right out the door. I remember Biden saying that. Right out the door, we were going to get our $2,000 stimulus check. A week later, what? Why do they deserve a vacation? They don't deserve it. Not while all of us are struggling. This is insulting, and again, something we warned about here at Hardlands Media. If the Democrats don't change this entire tactic, their plans of how they're governing, they're going to lose that majority in the House and Senate. So I hope they're able to get their act together. But already it looks like political suicide for the Democrats. They failed once with impeachment. They failed again with impeachment. What are we going to do? A third time impeachment?
Why not?
Yeah, why not, indeed.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
We got one more video.
All right, well, I'm going to make a point or two.
Yeah,
then.
go ahead.
So we got a couple things that we want to lay out here that we now have basically incontrovertible proof on just based on the actions. Well, first of all, we were supposed to get our checks immediately, and they originally supposed to be $2,000. Now they're $1,400. Maybe they'll be $1,000. I don't know. Maybe they'll happen at some point. Maybe they're means tested. Maybe you're eligible. Maybe you're not. I don't know. Who knows? We don't really know what we're doing. We don't know what the government's doing. So when put in a situation where you're a new Democratic administration under one Joseph Biden, I think, is he a third? Is he a Joseph Biden the third? Whatever. It sounds like he's a third. What is the priority? It's telling people when you're getting them elected, I'm going to be barely populist. I'm going to give you money once. And then, of course, be like the same people that are like, oh, we're buying votes. And then as soon as you get elected, you ignore all of your pledges. You ignore all of your everything. You start trying to work with the people who you called your enemy just a few weeks ago. And the first thing you put your effort into is an impeachment that you know you're never going to win. They're just doing impeachment for the sake of the theater of doing impeachment. It didn't mean anything, and they knew ahead of time that it didn't mean anything, but they were so selfish that they thought that just because they failed coup, not even, I wouldn't even say it was there enough, that people charging into a building that, again, I reiterate, the police let them into. That's the most important part. The crowd is the least important. It's the fact that the police let them in. This is just them. When something happens to these people in Congress, they will do anything in their power when it happens to them personally to do whatever they can, even if it means nothing, even if it has no effect, even if they know it will do nothing, it will not pass, and they know it won't pass, they're still going to do it because it makes them feel good because they felt bad. But what it also means is that you matter so little that when a threat has left the White House and the issue's gone and they know they can't fix anything, they're going to still ignore you because they're more important than you.
Yep. All right, let's play this final video because, again, look, I mean, the impeachment's over. Orange Man is gone, okay? I mean, the Orange Boogeyman is gone. Corporate media, Democrats, he's gone. You're going to have to move on. Don't think that the people forgot that, you know, you owe us money. Let's play that final video.
President Biden obviously has now less than a month to get COVID relief done. March
COVID
14th,
relief,
Americans,
that's a thing, remember.
11 million of them lose their unemployment benefits. So talk us through this. How does he get it done? And where might the tripwires be?
It's 27 days between now and March 14th, which seems like it is a while in terms of just the number of weeks, but in terms of getting a package this big done, it is a very short window. I think the time frame is one of the key things that we're going to be watching. Number two is this issue of minimum wage. We've already seen senators like Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema say no, they don't want it to be a part of this bill. Progressives are going to fight for it, though, and Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, are going to have to figure out how are they going to get this package passed, but then also appease the progressives here. I think that is one of the biggest tripwires that Democrats are going to be facing in the coming weeks.
President Biden obviously has now less than a month.
They're going to be repeating, and the video is going to be repeating itself. All right, so look, let's just address a couple of things here. We're still waiting for relief. We're still waiting for some kind of support from Washington, D.C. As said in the two previous videos, okay? Congress is on vacation right now. They're going back to their home states. They're on break.
Yeah.
They're on break right now. We need help now. People don't have time to wait anymore. All right? And look, I hope this vaccination is successful. I hope we're able to defeat COVID-19. But Daniel, my colleague over here, has covered numerous stories of different variations of the COVID-19 virus. Number two, people are still being evicted from their homes and apartments. Even though there's supposed to be a halt on that, it's still happening. Lainey Peterson has covered that on the Thursday show numerous times. We have covered this on the show as well. This cannot be happening right now. The fact that our Congress is still even ignoring the fact that we need $2,000 in stimulus checks. We need our universal basic income. We need economic relief, and we're not getting it. So I don't know why the lawmakers are kicking the can down the road or why they're taking time on this. But the only thing that's really coming in my mind is that they don't care. George Carlin was right. They don't give a crap about you. Now, of course, he used more explicit, profaning words. We can't say it thanks to the YouTube algorithm, but the Democratic establishment and the Republican establishment, those wonderful senators and House representatives, don't care about you, don't give a crap about you. Well, and add whatever kind of profane word you want to use, but they just don't care about you. And you know what that means? They probably don't like you. So if you're a diehard vote blue no matter who, or a Trump supporter, or a Republican, doesn't matter. Our friends in Congress don't care about us. Daniel, any other final comments?
Yeah, this is exactly what we've been trying to fight for every time we go on air, really, is we're fighting corruption, we're fighting the way that the U.S. works, we're fighting the fall of the American empire, and my God, does it continue to fall every time we come on air? Again, to the point I made earlier, everyone that was in the impeachment process knew before it happened that it wasn't going to work. Now, can you think of all the times that progressives have been told to shut up because it's not going to work? So stop pie in the sky. You know what was a pie in the sky idea? Impeachment. The entirety of impeachment. Pie in the sky. Wish fulfillment. Except, unlike progressive ideas of Medicare for all, which would save millions of people, it would cost the country less money overall. Having a UBI, which would actually be a stimulus check. Having transitioning to a Green New Deal or something of the like. Those are, quote, pie in the sky ideals that progressives have, and we shouldn't even think about because they're really hard to do. But those same exact people that belittle those ideas are like, yeah, let's do the thing that we know won't work, that'll take up all this time that we're supposed to giving people checks that we've promised them, even though we've lowered the amount, lowered the cap on income. Excuse me. It just goes back to the same point the kid already said. They matter. You don't. AOC is going to do a video on Instagram saying how much she was worried about how she felt. We're going to do coverage about how you are affected by those things.
And that's a fact. That's why you got to support independent media.